Welcome to ClickAI Radio, where you'll learn the secrets to transforming your small to medium business. Grant has been helping businesses transform using technology for over 30 years. Advanced technologies like artificial intelligence have been available only to large companies and advanced technical teams. Grant will discuss how you can use to leverage AI and other technologies to grow your small to medium business. As a gift, Grant is offering his ebook, AI for Sales Growth, at clickairadio.com. Now, here's your host and biz tech geek, Grant Larsen.
All right. Hey, this is Grant Larsen. Thank you for joining another episode of ClickAI Radio. So, all right. I was thinking about data, right? How important data is, and I was talking with one of the entrepreneurs that I know. He's been running his business here for several years, doing a fantastic job, knocking it out of the park. But I was doing some AI work with him, right? And he was pointing out something I thought was really critical, which was, he's like, hey, Grant, he's like, a lot of us, small to medium business owners, we're just trying to keep the lights on, right? We're trying to get stuff done, trying to keep things going. And the fact of the matter is, we don't always have the ability or the opportunity to go back and really look at our data. In fact, lots of times we're making a lot of decisions by intuition. And I thought, gosh, I think he's spot on. And so it prompted me in this particular episode to talk about the need for data. Not to replace intuition, but to augment it. So let's talk about that. So years ago, when I did my very first startup company, gosh, this was, I almost hate to say it, this was in the 80s. So my wife and I we had just come out of college and we were going to move to Chicago. Actually, I had my first job offers with a large technology company. I don't even think they're in existence today. Actually, they're not 30 plus years later. But anyway, so I had received an offer from them. I actually accepted it. And then about a week later, I'm up on campus at college. We're at the college, and I'm walking through, and I see this entrepreneur opportunity on the board there. And I look at it, and I'm just drawn to it. And I'm like, I actually think that's the route I want to go. So I go home to my wife. I'm like, honey, I got this great idea. How about we leave the, hey, here's all this secure sort of job opportunity. Let's go after a startup company. So it took a lot of convincing. Eventually, we did it. So I went and I turned down the sort of for sure deal with the big company, went with a startup company in Chicago. So at the time, we had our first child. So this is a big decision, right, to go with the higher risk sort of opportunity. So what I did was, rented this truck, got my wife and my little baby in the truck. We drove across the country. We ended up in Chicago. I remember pulling in thinking, man, where in the heck am I going to live? I mean, it pivoted so quickly. It was just shocking to me how fast, our trajectory changed. So we pull in, we figure out a place to live, and I start with this startup company. And of course, a few weeks go by, pretty soon it's a few months. Now it's about 6 months that we're into it. And I was focusing mostly on the technology, so I really wasn't thinking much about other things, right, in terms of running the business. Certainly wasn't thinking about the finances. One day, though, I happened to take a look at the finances. And so I open it up, and there's this number, and I do the quick math and realize we've only got 4 weeks to live. And so I approached the owner and my partner, and I said, is this true? And he's like, yeah, it's true. We are actually about out of money. I'm like, wow, man, if I'd have known that 4 months ago, I would have made some different decisions, right? So looking back at it, I realized, wow, I would have operated differently if I would have known that, right? If I'd have had access to that or been aware of it. So for me, this was just one of those first realizations in business, right? Just coming out of college where I realized not only do I need the data, but I need the transparency of the data. I need to be able to see it. And, in small to medium businesses, we're all taking on different roles and we're busy and so forth. But running on intuition alone isn't sufficient. So augmenting it with data makes a lot of sense. Now, of course, it depends on your role, right? So the CFO or the CEO, obviously, they tend to look at that more. Quite frankly, though, in today's world, technology and business is blended so much, it doesn't make sense, especially in small to medium businesses, to keep those separate. So as a result, we ended up having to make some pretty drastic decisions. I was only there another week because I realized we don't have enough runway to actually turn this thing around at this point. And I really liked the guy I was working with and wanted to give him a chance to survive even longer without me being involved. I think he stayed on for another year with it. Eventually ended up shutting it down. So here's the point. We got to have this blend of not just data on its own and not just intuition. Now, lots of times, as you know, with startup companies or small to medium businesses, it's intuition that gets us to the point where we get an operating model where cash is flowing and people are making money and the business is growing. But there's a point where that becomes risky, where we actually can't just run the business just on intuition. We actually need the insights that data can provide. Now, lots of times that data will come from things that you're already doing, right? Like it might be your CRM system or, how you're capturing the transactions or the sales. It's not that you have to go do a whole bunch of extra things, but one thing is important, that you need to start being intentional, not only about tracking the fact that transactions are taking place, but then stopping to extrapolate from that, do some analysis on it and figure out, do we need to adjust course? What are the patterns that are working, that are well, or those things that are bad? So who needs data? It's interesting. Sometimes marketers don't always need data, right? So when you think about if you got a small to medium business, you got the CFO or a CEO, you've got maybe technology people, you've got marketers and people that are doing sales. Lots of times the marketers are thinking about, hey, how do I improve conversion rates, right? Or how do I better serve the customers? Things like that. And they're often not looking at the data. Turns out that when we get data into the hands of marketers, their great intuition capabilities that can build these businesses, their great intuition capabilities actually can be amplified when we can augment their strong intuition with good data patterns, good data analysis, I would dare say, with artificial intelligence. So it's critical to augment the powerful capabilities of people in our small to medium businesses with well-informed data that's teaching and providing insights to you. So who needs data? Heck, we all do. Hey, thanks again for joining. My name's Grant Larsen, and until next time, go get some data.
Thank you for joining Grant on ClickAI Radio. Don't forget to subscribe and leave feedback. And remember to download your free ebook. Visit clickairadio.com now.